Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast. We are your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective.
We are two moms obsessed with changing the way moms take care of themselves. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to Mama Needs a Moment. We're glad to have you all back. We are bringing you something new for this episode. And once a month going forward, we will be joined by some of our Her Circle members to have a casual conversation on a specific topic, just as if we were some moms out to dinner or having coffee or drinking wine, you name it. We're calling these episodes our Mom Chats. This episode, we are joined by two of our cherished Her Circle members, Rachael and Rhyan. We will be discussing the topic of adult friendships and friendships and motherhood, specifically about developing friendships, nurturing, and maintaining them. I also wanted to mention, for those of you that are not familiar, Her Circle is the mom community created by Her Health Collective. Hi, Rhyan. Hi, Rachael.
Hey.
Hey. So happy to have you here. This is very exciting. Chrissy and I were just talking about how great it's going to be to just have this casual conversation, and we're going to start it off. Let's talk friendship.
I'm super excited to talk about this today. Cindy and I actually met earlier this afternoon and dove into this topic a little bit in preparation for this discussion. And one of the areas that we discussed was friendship for us in childhood and our teen years. So we discussed this a little bit and we were wondering what it was like for you two. Did you have a lot of friends in childhood and high school? Were you a part of a small tight-knit group? Were you more of like a one best friend kind of situation? What did it look like for you in childhood and like those early teen years? And Cindy and I, in discussing this, we sort of were both on the same page in that we felt like we were friends with everybody and we're a part of a lot of different groups and welcomed in lots of different groups. But we both sort of felt that we never had like a core friendship unit necessarily. We were welcomed everywhere, but we both longed for those deeper friendships. But I know that's not the case for everybody. So Rhyan, why don't you go ahead and start? What was childhood/teen years friendship like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's kind of a unique situation. Childhood, because I was just like the easygoing middle child. I guess that kind of was my friendship as well. But having the name Rhyan was also a challenge during elementary because I didn't get to go to a lot of sleepovers because a kid would ask, hey, can Rhyan spend the night? And the parents were like, no. But what thinks,
really?
Right, but what kid thinks, oh, I should clarify that Rhyan is a girl. You don't think about that. So I went through kind of a lot of friend disappointment because I felt like sometimes I wasn't included. And then I had kind of like little pockets of friends. I tried to get along with everybody. And then had kind of like this year it was Laura and Betsy. And next year it was Sarah. And the next year it was Charity and Nick. And so it was kind of like bounced around. And then middle school and high school, kind of like the same. Like I bounced around to different groups because I saw like different qualities in each group. Like, I had a really hard freshman year of high school where I just bad influences, a lot of body changes, puberty, all this stuff where I was kind of depressed and then had to kind of think like, should I stay with this toxic friend group that I was in my 8th grade and then freshman year? And so that kind of made me think, okay, let me branch out and meet new people and try new activities. And then I did have a core, my friend, but they're guys.
So, okay.
Yeah. So Nick and Mike were my core. And then my junior year and senior year, I got really close with my friend Caitlin. Yeah. So it really didn't have like a strong like girlfriend per se until I went to college. So when I go home to visit people, I don't really have friends per se to visit that have stayed in town because I just didn't really have any. So I tend to visit my college friends. So it's interesting.
So you ended up having close friends in high school that were guys, and you a friendship blossomed with a girl your senior year, but then really girl friendships didn't take place until going into college.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when those relationships happened in college, did you feel like it happened easily for you to find that group of friends or a core group of friends?
Yeah, it actually did. So like different classes, like one Crocs weren't in style yet, and I was still thought they were like this unique shoe, and I was wearing it, and my
So
friend,
funny.
my other friend, yeah, seriously, this was like what 2003, and I'm wearing Crocs, and like nobody else is except my friend Christy. And so we met in history class, and then my friend Kim and I were in an art class together, and then we found out we worked together at the cafe. They just blossomed. So it was really
Yeah.
cool. That commonality really brought us together.
Yeah,
So it's kind of
that
funny.
makes sense.
College is a special place in that regard. I mean, it really
It really
does
is.
just force you with people, and you're forced to
Right.
make those bonds in such a positive way. Rachel, how about you?
I kind of had like I guess kind of a core group in elementary school. I went to a neighborhood school, so we all lived like near each other and went to the same swim club. And then really like in my younger years, my cousins, I have three girl cousins and we're all the same. And they were kind of my first friends and still are. And then we moved in middle school and I kind of lost touch and had to start over and sort of found a group, kind of bounced around a little bit in middle school, but had two or three good friends that went to my high school. I stayed friends with them. I didn't really have a group in high school. I kind of was friends with a lot of different people, but I did have a best friend all through high school. And then sadly, we had like a silly falling out end of senior year. But I had a lot of friendships through like activities, like sports friends or like Girl Scout friends or summer friends, like people that you would just see at the pool, or we went to the same place every summer. But I also kind of longed for like a group, like kind of a core group. I had like two or three people that were, I guess I had like close friends, but they weren't like this friend was close to me, but she wasn't really close to my other friends. So I didn't have like a group like that. My
Oh,
friends,
right.
my close friends all kind of were friends with other people. We didn't like gel as like one big group.
Yeah. And then that high school friend that you said was your best friend, how many years did you consider her? Was she like your ride or die type of friend?
Yeah, for all of high school until right there at the end. And then
And
of all the silly things we had a falling out over. One of us got into a college and the other didn't. And
Oh
oh,
just,
no.
and do you
silly.
talk to her yet at all now?
We've kept in touch, like connected over Facebook and chatted like maybe once or twice, in 20 years. So not
Yeah.
At
really,
least
no.
it wasn't over a boy.
No,
Oh,
it
that's
was not
true.
over a boy, thank goodness.
And then did you go on to college or
Yeah, I
take a
went on
different
to
path?
college and I'm from Raleigh. I grew up here and I went to NC State. And looking back, I kind of wish I had gone elsewhere because a lot of like high school friends went to college. And so I just kind of use that. I don't know if it's a crutch, a good thing, a bad thing. But when I look back and now I see like people have these really strong college friendships, I'm still friends with a lot of these, like my college friends, but they're really like high school, middle school friends. And I really wish I had forced myself, like what Chrissy was saying, to maybe a newer environment
Yeah.
where I could have
Mm-hmm.
like bonded because you change so much in college, but like my
Right.
friendships were sort of based on like who you used to be,
Mhm.
which is good. But, didn't really meet people with like who I was becoming and form like close bonds with who I was becoming into adulthood.
Right.
Mm.
Now, thinking about yourselves when you were younger, and then now that you have gotten married, had kids, you're the same person, yes, but there's shifts that happen in our lives. When you were younger, what kind of a friend did you yearn for? And how is that different from a friend that you might yearn for right now? So I'll give myself as an example. When I was growing up, my sister had a best friend. I mean, I use the phrase ride or die because she just used that phrase the other day when she described her best friend from high school. They were best friends since second grade. And I just was wanting that so badly. I wanted to find that best friend that I could be around. And I just never found it. Like Christy said, I was just part of a whole bunch of different friends. And then now that I'm older, I felt a shift where I would love like a close group of friends, or there's this person I follow on social media and she's got this like core group of 4 or 5 friends. And she's like, we know everything about each other. If I'm sick, they come clean my house. And I'm like, I don't have anybody that's going to come clean my house. But like that, what do you yearn for when you were a child versus like now in your friendships?
And Cindy, I would come clean your house.
You would?
I would, of
Aww.
course.
That's so special.
I love it. Oh, that's a hard question. I think I yearned for that connection, but I would cautiously go into a friendship because I want to put my all into being myself in like high school, but I felt like I couldn't fully because I felt like I was still going to like not be good enough, or that they weren't mature enough, or there's like the friend I had the end of high school, we ended up going to college together, and it was like, it did not go well. Like, we're not friends anymore. We are blocked. We do not speak to each other. And it's sad because like I valued her and I went in and really invested, and then she threw it away. So I just felt like I wanted to have that ride or die, that you knew everything about me, but then I had been burned so many times trusting people and then them violating my trust or not valuing me for a person. And so like fast forward now, I have a really good friend that we've invested in each other, and like I have that close person or a couple people, and I, kind of want to take it to the next level and go on a vacation together. And I want to do those things. Like I want to go on vacation with my BFF, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And so I think it's more like doing adulting with a person now, and you help each other through. And it's like you have this mutual understanding of where we're at. I think that's different now. And I think being older, you recognize people who can be that person for you better. And I feel like we're more mature now, right?
Yeah,
To understand like who's going to bring value in your life, who's going to make you feel special, and finding that person now is important. So I have a close friend, and then I have the circle that her circle that I trust, and some like pockets of like my teacher groups because I'm a teacher. And so you have this mutual respect for each other that's different than how it was in high school.
Ryan, I'm interested to know, because you've mentioned these different pockets of friends, and I feel that way too. As an adult and a parent in particular, making friendships feels really hard to me. Like making true, deep, genuine friendships feels very hard to me because of time. I feel such a lack of time because I have my family and I have my spouse and I have my child and I have my work and all these different obligations that take time. And to cement that friendship takes something like 700 hours, or, there's some statistic that I should have researched before getting on here, but there's some very high in the hundreds number of hours that we're supposed to spend with someone before we get to that next level. And that takes commitment and showing up again and again, and awkward moments and building those memories so that you have those shared experiences together. So how do you find yourself navigating that? You've mentioned you have this close friend that you've gotten closer to. How did that happen?
Yeah. So sometimes it's like planning ahead and saying like, this date, we are going to do this, and holding true to it. And it really is a bummer because the only time I'm not going to hold true to it is if I'm like truly sick, and I'm going to get you sick if we hang out. So my BFF and I, we throw out a few dates. Which one's going to work? What do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And like, that's where I was just now. So like we had missed our date because I was sick, and we had missed each other. And it's, we had our January date and we couldn't have our February date. And we're like, yay, we finally made our March date. When we meet, we are each other. like we are each other's person. We limit distractions. We are 100% present and we throw it out. And I think it was like finding that person and knowing that this was going to be my person to invest and really trust. That was my first thing, is being like, I really think I can connect with her. And then making that time and showing that we have value to each other, I think was really important. And so we make it work. Would I love to be closer? Yes. Hopefully.
So is that what you're doing right now, is like once a month get-togethers?
We try to do once a month. Yeah. And then when I, teaching year round, when we track out, our kids are 2 days apart. So we were in the trenches together with that, by the way.
Oh, that makes a commonality. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have
that huge commonality. And then we try to get us and the kids together during my breaks from school. So we try to do at least 1 or 2 there too. Okay. So the kids can know each other.
Well, that makes sense to have the same age kids that help to bring you together for that bond. Your friend, where did you meet her, the friend?
So we taught together. Then she left. She didn't come back after having the baby. And then she reached out to me about an exercise class. And she's like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, sure. And then that just rekindled everything.
Okay. And does she have a partner?
Yes.
And does your partner and her partner get along too?
They have commonalities, but we haven't all hung out, which is kind of funny. Like
these are all the pieces of everything. All right, Rachel, I'd love to hear from you because, all right, we've talked about a bunch of things, but we talked about things that you yearned for when you were a child in your friendships versus what you're yearning for now. And then, Chrissy, you had asked a question of Ryan.
Yeah, I basically just kind of mentioned that adult friendships, time feels like such a factor. So how do you navigate that to make adult friendships? Like Ryan mentioned, seeing her BFF 1 time a month, which if you think about how often we saw friends in high school or college, it was every day, 5 days a week at least, and how easily that makes the friendship form versus now when, we are much more handicapped and limited in that time frame.
Yeah, I think I kind of now, like in my late 20s, we had a group and we were all kind of like single or dating, like the people we ended up married to. And we would do everything together and take trips and stuff. And that group's kind of dispersed. People have moved. I think like I kind of long for that now, like kind of another group of like maybe 2 or 3 couples but like listening to Ryan, it is so hard with time just to get like one person together, let alone like find 3 people who like each other and then can actually get together. But I don't know, now I was just thinking when she was talking, maybe instead of longing for like that group, I should try like look for that. And I have people I've tried to do that with, like old coworkers and stuff, meeting every few months for dinner. It's work, right? And it's like everything else, you kind of get what you put into it. And I think like I really want like a deep friendship or a close friend, but I also have started to like recognize and be honest with myself that I'm not good at putting in the work, or I'll find someone on ask and get like no, and taking the no is like, it just means no, they're probably busy, not no to me. But yeah, that you've got to put that in and keep at it. And sometimes that's just, it's hard because we're like putting so much of ourselves into everything else and time, and to like keep doing that and making that choice over and over and that commitment over and over to 1 or 2 people. I don't know, it's really hard for me personally. Like I've kind of come to terms that that's something I just really struggle with, but I'm not going to get what I want if I don't do that. Invest the time and make the time for myself too, to have like experiences and connections outside of my spouse and family.
To our Patreon supporters, thank you. We appreciate you so much. Our goal has always been for moms to know they're not alone in the tough and challenging phases of motherhood. We know Mama Needs a Moment provides this to our listeners.
We are thrilled with the growth of the podcast over the past 2 years. Last year, Spotify shared that Mama Needs a Moment was in the top 30% most followed podcasts, was heard in 9 countries, and had more content than 97% of other creators in the family category.
We have recently launched a Patreon account for Mama Needs a Moment. This is a great way for you to provide additional support to Her Health Collective.
We've set up 3 options for Patreon supporters, each with its very own perks, such as special events, discounts, and bonus content from each and every podcast guest that is available only to our Patreon supporters.
Will you become a Patreon supporter? It would mean the world to us. Rachel, you said something that jogged a memory in me. I remember it was when I was teaching, so this was a while ago, but I had just moved to Raleigh not that long ago, and I was so starved for adult friendships. And I found myself in the media center talking to the librarian there because I was very close to her, and she was quite a bit older than me. I called her my work mom, basically.
Did you ask her to be your friend?
Well, she kind of was she was my work friend, but she was literally older than my mom. Like, she was older. And I remember going in and talking to her and just being so sad and saying, I am so starved for good friendships. I miss Florida, where I'm from. Who says they miss Florida? I miss my friends. I miss my people, and I feel so alone. And she kind of walked me through different friends that I had. And she said, Chrissy, you do have friends. I think you need to look at friends differently, though. You are looking for one person to be your everything. And as an adult, that's not how friendships work.
It's very rare.
You might have a basketball friend. You meet with that friend to play basketball once a week and you have a great time. Are you going to talk to that friend about your work struggles or your relationship struggles or, something else that's going on? Probably not, because they're your basketball friend. But then you have your work friend that you meet with after work, and you go out for a drink or go on a run and you talk about all the work things, and that's your work friend. So I had to sit with it for a while, but the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? That is true. That does feel fitting in adulthood. Do I still want one person that would be my everything? Yes. In all honesty, that's probably Noah, my partner. He has become that person over our 2 decades together. Would I love a girlfriend to serve that role? Absolutely. But the amount of time I would have to put into that, I just don't have available. So I now have, work friends and her friends and, volunteer friends at Kira's school and all of these different things that kind of serve a different role in that way.
It makes me think of that book by Laura Tremaine, The Life Council. I think you read it. And I think I've referenced this book one time during a talk with you, Rachel. And she goes through these different groups of friends or places that you find friends, like work friends. And one that stuck out to me so much from this book was the yes friend. And this is the friend that likes to plan things. And she gets groups of people together to go and do things. And, maybe the group goes on a girls' trip or something, and she's the head of the planning of it. And I'm thinking, you know what? I need to find a yes friend, because I'm not that great at planning things, and I just kind of wait for other people to do it. But yeah, it's an interesting book to have the different titles for the friends.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned kind of the niche friends, like these different pockets, like being from Michigan and they first moved down. Chrissy, you mentioned that person. I had that. I called her my North Carolina mom. She's like, if my daughter moved to the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, I would want somebody to help her and take care of her as she transitioned. And then there was a whole bunch of transplant teachers that all started about the same time at the school. And then we bonded over that. We're all like 8-10 hours away from our family. And so we all hung out. And then I got my work BFF from there. And so it's kind of funny, you have pockets of people. It enriches your life. And then from there, you invest in the ones you're like, these people are gold. So,
right.
And then it's okay. You don't have that. The Her Health Collective is my yes group. You guys, you're like, let's do this. All right. Okay. Yes, I'm there.
It's funny when Cindy was talking about the yes person, I was like, I used to be a yes person and plan everybody's trips. But now that I plan all her events, I'm too tired to be my own yes person. Like, I need someone else to plan my personal trips for me.
Well, thank you for being my yes people.
I am here for you. Yeah, that is what's great about a mom group like Her Circle, is that you do have events planned and all you have to do is show up. And, there's hopefully the same faces there again and again over time. And you get to make those connections and those bonds, but you gotta show up, and finding the time is not always easy. I do have one last question as we kind of wrap all of this up. I want to dive into very briefly, what have been your challenges in finding mom friends? We've already sort of we've touched on time quite a bit. And we've also sort of touched on the challenge of partners. Because sometimes, you bring your partner along, and so you might get along really well with this mom friend, but the significant others are like complete polar opposites. And that doesn't mean you and the mom can't be friends, but it is kind of nice when all four of you can mesh, or the group of you can mesh. So in addition to those things, what other things have been challenges for you in finding mom friends?
I think for me, my biggest challenge is I'm like the older mom. So I'm almost 42. And like there's some women in my neighborhood.
I just had a birthday, Mama. I'll share with you later what that means.
And so there's some women in my neighborhood, and it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm like, I really want to be their friend. Like they're about my age, they're a little older, but their kids are in high school. And so they're just doing, I feel like so much sometimes. I don't know if it's just my perspective or I'm seeing it wrong, but I feel like so much of like friendships kind of revolve around like what your kids are doing sometimes, and what stage they're in. And so I feel like the moms who are my age, and even my college friends, they all got married right after college. And so they are also sort of on a different wavelength. Not that you can't be friends with people who aren't your age. I don't mean that. Just I feel like a lot of the people with kids my age are a good 10 or 15 years younger. And like we have a good core like Sunday school group, and we do a lot with them. But I was talking, and one girl was like, "Oh, I'm turning 28 next week," and I'm like, "Oh, whoa! I didn't realize you
You're just a baby."
Like maybe it's in my head, and I need to get out of my head. I just find it hard sometimes to connect with people with like my interests and stuff. I was doing really different things in my 30s and late 20s, and I'm like, I don't want to go out late now. I don't want to be in crowds. I don't really like drink anymore. I just want to like find a group and maybe it's not an age thing, but I have just found it's hard to be the older mom sometimes because I have, a 6-year-old and 4-year-old. A lot of people who have 6 and 4-year-olds are like a good 10 years younger, and it could just be like the people I meet, but are just doing really different things that aren't what I feel like I want to do, like how I want to spend limited time. But then it's hard to break into, like in my neighborhood, I'm like, what do I have to do to break into this group of 3 moms I feel like I could connect with because we're like the same age, but they're just doing such different things with their kids. Their kids are like taking driver's ed, and they're like doing travel teams. And so I feel like that's been a big challenge for me.
Has her circle been helpful in that regard, where there's a variety of different ages of moms and kids?
Yeah, I feel like there has. What's been nice is I've actually met some moms that are my age but have young kids, which is great. But also, I mean, I don't want to sound like an ageist. I feel like
yeah, because you got an old lady here on the line.
but well, like the anti-ageist, I guess. Like, but I guess her is helpful because so many different things. Even if someone isn't your age, like you can at least go to an activity. Yeah, because there's younger moms in her that are into the crafts or the knitting, or so you can find people at least that like hone in on those interests.
I absolutely see the importance of finding moms that are the same age and kids that are the same age. I think there's a lot of value in walking with people that are in the same stage of the journey. Something I've also realized though, and it was largely through my relationship with Cindy, is how valuable a good friendship can be with a mom that is at a different stage than you. And it is much harder scheduling wise to make it work, but it is really nice to walk with someone who's a few stages ahead of you. And also I have, friends now that are a few stages behind me, and to be able to get advice and offer advice, that there's something beautiful about that too, that I've really discovered through her circle, because there are so many moms at different stages of motherhood. It reminds me of what the village would have been, generations
absolutely.
and generations ago. It was all moms and all members of the community helping to raise all of our kids together. And that's kind of what I love about that part of it. But of course, there is absolutely a lot of benefit to finding people in the same place as you as well. Ryan, how about you? Did you have
Yeah.
anything to add?
I was thinking about that. Time is a huge factor, of course. And then I was thinking about like, what are other constraints for me? Same as what Rachel was saying. There's also like a sense of like, how vulnerable do you want to be in like a group setting to connect with people, and like how much effort you want to put in. Like, we all get in moods. Like I want to go to an event, but I'm like, I'm not really feeling up for it, but I do want to go out. But it's like, am I going to get into a deep conversation playing Funko? I don't know, maybe. Or am I just going to be there to have fun? How is it going to go? What is it going to, what are they going
And
to think
what
of me?
energy level do I have for this?
So
Right.
true.
What energy? So it's kind of like that vulnerability. I feel like the retreat I love because I feel like I can be vulnerable. Like, we're here with people who also, we have that commonality. We want this break. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's dive in. Let's really become friends. Sometimes when I put my all into it and then I don't get the reciprocal, it's really hard, because then I think, well, do they not value me? Did I say something wrong? Like, and then I get self-conscious. So then it's like, okay, maybe I won't be so vulnerable next time and like say all these weird things. I still kind of, and that takes me back to this mentality I had like in high school. And then I fight with myself and say, no, I'm an adult. It doesn't matter. I can be myself and be vulnerable. And if they can't handle it, oh, well, it's kind of like I go back and forth. And so gauging my energy level and my like willingness to be vulnerable and engage in different levels of conversation, I think some of those can be really hard in adult friendships too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I noticed through the years that I've done some self-exploration and thank you therapy, because that does very much help, that there are some behaviors that I have that are coping mechanisms for fear that I have. So I have a fear of loss. And so I'm like, if I get too close to these people, then maybe they'll figure out that they don't want to be my friend and they'll leave. So there's things that happen inside of me that I don't even realize are happening. And so I feel a barrier almost come up because I'm protecting myself in a way from, one, the loss, or two, because of the emotional, the well that you have of emotions that you only have just so much, but you use a lot of it with your family and your kids and whatnot. Do I have extra that I could just give to this person? And then time and all of that. And so I don't want to say like I sabotage it, but I can see how I put up this wall of perhaps not contacting friends as much as I should, or reaching out to plan things with others that, would make or break this friendship, having more time with these people. Yeah, self-exploration has really uncovered some of that for me.
Yeah, I feel like I can relate to that a lot. I notice, and I don't know what it is the last few years, but I go through periods of I'll just withdraw. And I think like what Ryan said too about putting yourself out there, and then if you don't get the immediate connection,
Yes.
or you ask someone to do something and they do it, but then you don't, and some people are going to be like a yes person.
Right.
But I feel like if I ask someone to do something and then they don't ask back later, it's feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not worthy, like
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%,
worthy
100%.
of kind of a protection of like your self-worth, and not feeling like you're not worthy or you're not valued when you've put yourself out there. And but then I also know like I'm not great at getting back to people either. Like we're all really busy. I think in my case, like I dwell on like, oh, so and so didn't ask me or invite me. I thought we had fun at the park, but they never asked again. Or,
Yes.
and I
Yes. Oh
tend
my
to dwell
gosh.
on that. But I dwelled on that recently with someone that I've asked and asked and asked, and she has a daughter that Audrey wants to see. And I kind of got like, no, or ignored. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to ask. She doesn't want to like keep in touch. And then randomly Tuesday, she asked us to meet at a park. And Zach, my husband, was like, see, you were like dwelling on that you had somehow done something or she didn't like you or never wanted. And it's just people are busy and you're busy and you don't get back to people too sometimes. But it does for me, like, especially now, like, I feel like I take it much more personally than I did when I was younger.
I
Like,
think it's because we, value what we get from it. And so when we meet a person and we invest and we're really connecting, and then something happens, like, yeah, I spiral into that as well, overthinking, or, I feel that. I feel that 100%. And I think it's because we value it so much. And then when we don't get it in return, we automatically assume, what did I do? Or do they not like me? Or we associate value with that. And that's something I'm diving into kind of personally as well. It's like, where did that come from? Like, I hate being forgotten. I'm like, why did my friend not get back to me? Like, I feel forgotten. I don't like that. Or when I don't feel included, when I thought I made an impression and I thought we were really good. And then you went on a trip and you didn't even like me. I thought we were there at that level, And so then I go back and like spiral and I'm like, okay, what did I do?
Yes.
Did I say this? Like, how can I do this? What do I have to repair? Like, did I hurt them? And it's time, or they have this trip connection with somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, totally get it, Rachel. Totally get it.
Yeah, I absolutely do too. And I think it's such an interesting, this would be a whole different conversation, but I think it's such an interesting display of how we raise girls and women in our society as well, because I don't want to generalize here, but like I talk to my partner Noah all the time, and he does not overthink things this way. He does not worry the same way about the impression he's made or if people like him, or like replaying conversations and thinking about, did I say something wrong? Or
So true.
we come
Guys
home
and
from
girls.
somewhere
So
and I
different.
like am replaying a conversation and he's like, how are you still thinking about this? Like no one else is.
Yep.
What is this about? Like, what guys and girls have such different relationship patterns and the way they can get into fist fights and then they're like, hey bud, the next day.
Maybe we should take a page from them.
No.
Maybe that's that, Cindy.
But you give a lady a stink eye and you're like, oh my gosh, she's out of my life forever.
Well, this was such a fun conversation, and we unpacked so much. We really walked through a lot about friendships, and I feel like we could have kept going for another hour.
For sure.
I certainly could have. Thank you so much, Rachael and Rhyan. It was really fun, and we appreciate your vulnerability and willingness to dive into this topic and share some of your thoughts on it, because it can feel really awkward. So thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you for joining us for Mom Chat.
We've enjoyed hanging out with you today, friend. We hope you got to finally enjoy a hot cup of coffee as you listened. Make sure you follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you've enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.